Hey folks, it's Tom, your Frugal Prepper. So you want to reload some 223-556. You want to do it as cheaply as possible for getting started. I'm going to go through my cheap method of being able to do this. I'm sure there are cheaper ways, but these are really good tools and equipment to do it with. It's a really good process. You can get quite a bit reloaded and not spend a ton of money up front on equipment. So let's get right to it. Okay, so now we want to clean some brass, and I already have some clean brass, but I'm just going to clean some more to show you how this works. We have this ground English walnut shells. This is a lizard bedding, reptile bedding that you get for raising reptiles on Amazon. This is what I use to clean my brass with. You can buy all different kinds of media, but this is cheap and it works really well. So I already have some. This works for a long time. I mean, you can clean a lot of brass with this before you have to throw it out. So I already have some in my bucket over here, and I'll go ahead and just pour that in. And we'll dump our brass in. Some of our brass. Yeah. Look at that. There we go. And now, let me grab that. Before we put that on, we're going to put in one dryer fabric softener sheet. I have used ones out of the dryer before, but honestly, I think the new ones work a little better. They just grab the dust and the lead. You'll see when I pull it out, it'll be all coated with the lead. And it'll keep the dust down. And you don't want dust coming off of this where you're breathing it as much as possible, because it has lead in it and it results in lead exposure. And we just put a little drop of this new finish car polish. I get this at Harbor Freight. It just takes a little teeny bit there, just a couple of little drops, and then we put our top on, washer, our wing nut, tighten that down real good, and then we turn it on. And we let that process. I usually let this go 4 or 5 hours to get it really good and extra clean. 2 hours is probably a minimum that you want. The longer you let it go, the cleaner it gets and the smoother it is. So you can choose how clean you want it. I will say having really clean brass helps keep your dies really clean. But, you know, however clean you want it, you let it tumble that long. Alright, so now we're ready to empty our brass. We'll go ahead and shut this tumbler off. And we'll unscrew it here. And you always have this little thing here. This is your fabric softener we put in here, and we'll just throw that away. And then we'll have our brass in here, which is now nice and clean and shiny. So now we'll take that and put it in our bucket with the media. And now we'll close our bucket up. good enough. Open those up, and here we have our nice clean brass. I'm going to go ahead and put that in my clean brass, which is right here. Okay, now I'm just going to grab 5 of these and we'll reload these. These are a mixture of 223s and 556s. And I just load them the same, which is a mid-range load, just for plinking in my SBR. And we'll just reload these 5, and I'll show you how I do that on the starting press. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is lubricate our dies, and these are already lubed, but I forgot to hit the record button, so we're just going to lube them again. But basically, take your Lee's resizing lubricant, or you can use Hornadays or whoever's, but this is just the Lee's that I use. It came with my kit. Take a little tiny dab. This is too much, but you know, it'll be more than enough to do the job. And you just put a little tiny dab on each one, and then you just rub that in to the case, like so. And it's just the bottom 2/3 of the case that you want to put that on. You want to leave the top part. I just stick my fingers over the top and rub it down here. And there you go. Now you're set to start the resizing process. The resizing die is this. We can just take and blow the end of it out with some air and make sure it looks good and clean. And this is your resizing die. All the dies that come in here, resizing. And so now we're going to set this up over on our small press. I'm going to take you through setting the dies up. I'm not going to do one of those reloading videos where like, oh, this die's already set up, but you can read the directions. Now I'm going to take you through step by step how to set these dies up and how to do this. So let's do that. I'm going to do it over here on my cheap press. So what we have is our cheap little Lee's press. The ones today come with the breech lock ring. This one did not when I bought it, but this is my backup press. Now I have the bigger press, but it never hurts to have a backup one. So what you can do is look at your directions that come with your dies, and it's going to tell you a full length sizer die and how you set this up. And so basically it says screw the full length sizer die until it touches the shell holder, then lower the ram and screw the die a 1/4 to a 1/3 turn more, raise the ram and tighten the lock ring. Okay, so what we do is we screw this in until it touches, and this one goes a lot farther than my old one did, so I'm going to have to screw it down. Oh, I got to put my shell holder on. So your kit comes with the shell holder. We have to put that on. Comes with this little thing, and that's your shell holder that your shells slide in and out of, like that. Okay, so we put that on first. Okay, and now we screw this down until it touches, right? Then we back it off, we turn it another 1/4 of a turn or so, tighten this down, and now we tighten the lock ring. Now these new kits come with their knurled lock ring. The older ones will come with like a hex. Either one's fine. Just snug that up so that that's good. And that's it. That die is set up and it's ready to go. And then you're ready to start resizing your cases and knocking the primers out. This little pin down here is going to knock the primer out. My primers are going to come down in here. Every once in a while I have to take this off and clean out the primers. I want to drill a hole in there that goes through the table, but I haven't yet because I don't use this press very much anymore. But you'll feel it kind of stop, and then you'll just push her down. Oh, and it knocked the primer out, and it did not send it through. Okay. And then what I like to do a lot of times is turn it a quarter return and send it into the resizing die again. And that resizes that case and knocks the primer out of it. So we'll do that to all 5 of these. And normally this press will send the primers back through this little slot, but it's not doing it on these. If you have a little indentation, tiny one, that's okay. And if this is like bent and it's got a flat spot on it, normally it will go back round when you do this. But if they're really bent or dented up, you need to throw those cases away. Just use a different case. And normally, you'll do 1,000 of these or 500 of them at a time. It'll become a lot easier. There, that one's good. Okay. And to resize case. Alright, so now we got to talk about trimming the case. This comes with the Breech Lock Challenger kit, and there is a special piece that you buy to insert on here that holds your shell casing and has a divot that goes in here, and then you can hook this to a drill and you can stick the divot in there and trim your case down. And that's probably the cheapest way to do it, but each one requires you to take that off and put it back on, and it's a big pain in the butt. But if you're just doing a few cases, you could do that. What I do is the Breech Lock Challenger kit also comes with this little guy, which is a case trimmer. You can see there's some leftover trimmed casings there. But this will, go in and it'll take it to a standard size. And you'll have to buy these. These are like 11 to 14 bucks. But this is a quick trim die, and this is for 223. So you have to buy these for each size that you want to be able to trim. I also have one for 357 Magnum. I have one for British Enfield. But you'll put this in, and then your casing goes up in here a certain amount, and as it goes up in there, then you can put this in there and trim your case. Okay, so we set that up on the press, and that's a really easy way to trim them on this. So this looks a little dirty actually. It'll be okay. And so we'll stick that in here and we'll start trimming some cases. Alright, so basically you insert your quick trim die in here. However, just insert it in here. I just put them all the way down as far as they'll go. Because you're going to basically just raise this up until it seats. Get your shell holder in. You're going to put your shell in. You're going to put that up to the top. You got to insert your quick trim die. This can be adjusted up or down. It's set by default to trim it to the appropriate length. This is like 1.750 or something. And just turn this a few times, and she trims that case off real nice. Some cases when you're doing a big batch just won't trim because they're already under 1.750. And that's fine if they are. I still use them, you know. But most of them will need a little trimming. You don't have to trim every time you reload. You know, you can measure them as long as they're not over the maximum length, which is 1.760, I believe. You can use them. But you know, I don't go through and measure them all. I just run them through and trim them. You know, and I'll do this 500 or 1,000 at a time, and just make this one step in the process. Just trim them all down and make sure they meet the length. And so there you go. You're all trimmed now. And so now our cases are trimmed, and now we have to deburr and dechamfer them. So now we need to talk a little about deburring and dechamfering. We have this little tool that comes with your Lee's Breech Lock Challenger kit. This is our deburring and dechamfering tool, and I'll show you how this works. You basically take this and you stick it in the end like so, and you give it a good complete turn or two, and that basically makes that, and then you turn it around and you stick it in here, and you go a couple of turns, and it makes that. Nice. Okay, that's one way to do it. If you're doing 1,000 of them, this tool starts to really hurt your hands. What I have is one of these from Harbor Freight. It's a 6-flute, 1/2-inch, 1-piece countersink. Okay, and then I have one of these that I got on Amazon. I'll put a link to it below, but it's a dechamfering tool, and we'll put that on the drill, and then you can dechamfer there, and you can deflute it there. And so I'm going to do the rest of these with the drill and let you see how I do that. But if you're just doing a few rounds, you can just use this too. You know, so it's up to you how you want to do it. I've done thousands of rounds with this, and yes, it makes your fingers hurt after a while, but you do get them done. But your drill is the way that you really want to do this. And I have a drill here. I don't have a button that locks this. Sometimes I'll wrap tape around it and just sit it down on the workbench like so, and put my bits in it. For these 5, I'm just gonna hold it with my finger and do it. But I'll show you how this works. So first thing we want to do is dechamfer or deburr. I don't know which one's deburr and which one's dechamfer, but we want to go like that. We want to set this on 1 so it turns nice and slow. Just about like that. That's all you need, and then you're just gonna take, go like that on each of these. And well, chamfer it. But when you're tape the drill, you just leave it running and go through, and you can go through a few thousand of these before you need a new drill battery. You know, and the 4-amp hour battery anyway. And so now we want to dechamfer, and for that we're going to stick this in. And this is a new one. After thousands and thousands of rounds, I had to get a new one. These do go dull after a while, but they're only like $6 or $7. And you just do that and feel it on the edge and make sure that's dechamfered. Oh. I'll stick this up to the side so you can see. There we go. And those are deburred and dechamfered. Okay? And they feel nice and smooth. The bullets are going to slide in them nice and easy. So now, I take this little pocket reamer tool, and it's got one for large pockets and one for small pockets. And I put that in my drill. And this, you just want to clean out the pockets, the primer pockets. And it doesn't have to be perfectly clean. Just want to make sure there's no big chunks of carbon in there. And nice and clean. Okay, so now you're done with that part, and that'll be more time consuming because, you know, if you got a 500 of them or 1,000 of them, you got to go through that step with this bit, and then you got to go through them all with this bit, and then you got to go through them all with this one. I guess you could get 3 different drills and line them up too, and just do them all, but I just do them all in a single step. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to ream the primer pockets. This isn't important as important for the 223 ammo. It'll still prime fine, but the 5.56 that has the crimp primers, you really have to do this. And these are all 223s here. There could be some 5.56, but I still just like to give them a quick ream in. It'll just help the primers to see easier. We use the same tool that we use for the deburring. And we go through them all again, and I'll just put this in the drill. Like so. And all you're gonna do is take and hold your primer pocket up there, and I just give it a little wiggle like that, and basically turn the drill on. So, and it just puts a nice little ream on it. The ones that have the crimped in pockets, you'll have to push a little harder to get those going, and you'll feel them. That's good. You can also use a Phillips screwdriver for this, but I find that this works a little better. Okay, so now we're set. We're ready to go ahead and install our primers. Alright, there are many different priming methods from Lee's and everybody else on how you can install primers. There's this method right here that fits on my breech lock press. It works really well. It's great if you're doing a bunch of them. You just push this over, push down, seat the primer. There's things like this, right? This is from Lee. This is an old one. It takes a special insert, a special shell holder that doesn't have the thing on the bottom, right? So you have to buy those, but it'll install your primers like so, and that works pretty well too. This works better for pistol cartridges. For these rifle, you really got to push them hard and you can get them to seat in there. I don't like this. They have one that you sit down that you push on as well. I don't have that one. What I'm going to use is the cheapest way to reliably insert primers. That works pretty good. It's the Lee's Ram Prime system. right there. So what this has is it has this piece here that screws on top of the press, and it has two of these, and one's for large pistol primers and one's for small pistol. So we use the smaller one. Let me make sure that's the smaller one. It is. And so we'll use this smaller one right here, right? And we'll use this. So I'll take you over here to the press and show you how we set that up. All right, so the way you set this up is first you want to take your shell holder out from down here. And we'll just set that there, we're gonna need that. But this piece right here is gonna go in where your shell holder went. And it's gonna move up, see those primers, woo. All right. Then you take this little piece right here, right? And it has this little ring in it that you kind of have to push down to get the shell holder to go in there, right? Has that little ring in the middle. You kind of have to just put it in there and push down on it while you're pushing it in there, like so. Then you screw that all the way down in until she seats. There you go. And now we just turn our shell holder like that, and then it goes up and boom. All right. So now you want to take your small rifle. I use Magnum small rifle primers. I just like them better. But you can use small rifle primers on this because these aren't Magnum loads. I just like the Magnums. So I'll take 5 of those out. And yeah, some people say if you touch your primers, you're going to ruin them and cause all kinds of problems. I've stored ammunition for years. I've touched the primers. It's been fine. If you don't want to touch the primers, you can wear some rubber gloves or something like that. I don't have any problem touching the primers. So what you want to do is take your primer in, and you want to set it upside down like that in the end. Make sure that's upside down. Then you're going to take your casing, you're going to put it up here. You're going to come up, boom, and it's going to seat your primer in there. Just like that. So it's empty, no primer. Put it in there. Take a primer, put it in here, and boom, seats the primer. It's like so. And this does take a little longer to set them in there and do this, but you will get good at it. Believe it or not. And you can do it this way. Oh, you gotta make sure that's pushed all the way in. There we go. You see, it's the primer. Here, down there, like this. See, it's the primer. So now we have our primer set. We have we got our primer set in these. We got them trimmed, deburred. So they are ready to measure some powder in, and then we're going to put our bullets in there. All right, so I'm using Accurate 2230 for my powder. The reload data that comes with your dies, if you want to use this reload data, you just need to find one of these powders and load it up. Or you can get a big fancy book that'll tell you different loads and stuff. Or you can go to their website, Accurate's website, and download the Western Powders book that has load data for all of their powders, for all their different types of bullets. Okay. I have worked up this load, and it came primarily from that book. It doesn't give a 55 grain full metal jacket bullet load data with 2230 on the lead sheet. So it's the most common bullet, but it doesn't give Accurate 2230 on this. So I looked it up in the book a long time ago. I've worked up this load, And I do accurate 2230, and I do 22.3 grains, and I always go a tenth. I always can go a tenth under or over, so that's right in the middle. So I can go 22.3 to 22.4, or 22.2 to 22.4. Aim for 22.3. Now, powder measure, you can use an actual powder measure like this. This has 2230 in it, and that's what I normally use. But today, we're just going to scoop some out. We're going to weigh that, and then we're going to use this trickler from Frankfurt Arsenal. This is a good trickler to bring it up to our actual load. And you just turn this, and it puts out a little powder at a time until you get to your actual load. For the weight, we're going to use our scale here. We'll tear it to make sure it stays at 0, and we'll blow that out. Blow that off. Hit tear again. Make sure she don't wobble. Tear again. Okay. So now we're just gonna measure this out. I'll bring it over here a little closer and let you see what I'm doing. So what we want to do is take this and go here. Well, that takes us to 20.64. We want to get to 22.3. So we're just going to take, and we're going to just hold this, and we're going to go 22.3. As close as we can get in between 22.2 and 22.3. Okay, now we're at 22, so I'm going to set this flat and do it real slow. And 2.18, and 2.24, 26. 22.3. And so we're at 22.3 exactly. So that's our powder that we're going to put in our shell. So what we're going to do is I have this little green funnel that's small enough. This will do actually 0.17s. The red funnel that comes with the Lee's kit is too big to do these. So we dump that in, and now we've put powder in that case. We'll move it over there, and now we're ready to do our next one. And 20.72. Now we'll just go ahead and 22.22. Now we're just going to take it and go a little bit more. 26. 22.3. And now we're ready to pour it in this one. Move that over there. We'll just do that for the rest of them here. $21.92. Now we're just going to take it. $22.22. Now we just start turning it real slow. 26, 28. $22.32. Close enough. Like I said, I can go up to 22.4. So I'm fine with that. A powder measure will save you time, right? And if you get a scooper that is coming out real consistent with your load, you can probably just use a scooper. And I could do 22 grains, you know, or whatever with the scooper. It would be okay. But why not make them as accurate as possible? 2.2, 204, 22.3. This is just a way that you can do it if you don't have a powder measure. If you have a powder measure, that's definitely better because you're going to set the measurement up once and then do them real quick. Okay, now add that. And 2.3. Okay, so now we have powder in all of our cases. 22.3 grains. And that's where I like to run them. These are my SBR loads that I run in my SBR. I mean, they'll run in a regular rifle too. But it's right in the middle of the road powder. And we're ready to seat our bullets and then crimp them. Alright, so these bullets I have are the Everglades Ammo Soft Point 55 grains. They have a little lead soft point on them. These are just the ones I ordered that were like the cheapest ones at the time. And I went to order some more the other day because I'm getting down my last few thousand. And they didn't have these soft points in stock. All they had was full metal jackets. So that's why I got confused and thought I had a full metal jacket load, but I actually have a soft point load. So we'll go ahead and put these bullets in here. Now, before you seat your bullets, you want to do one very final important thing. You want to get a flashlight, and you want to look down in each bullet and make sure you see the powder in there. It's not double charged, it's not empty. And it's kind of hard to see on these. You're going to need a flashlight. But I just double check. So this is my second pass. There, okay. You want to make sure each one is loaded, not overcharged, not undercharged, that has the right powder in it. And then you can just take and kind of push these bullets in there and start them a little bit. They won't start as well, but they are boat-tailed on the end a little, so you don't have to flare them to start them in there. But sometimes the bullets won't stay in real well, and you'll have to do them when you actually sit them up on the press. But usually they'll stay in there good enough. And there. So now we have that. Now we're going to crimp these, and we want to crimp them to an overall length of 2.195 is my overall length. And so I'm going to crimp them down to 2.195. And to do that, we're going to use our crimping die. Okay, and we're going to go to the directions, and it's going to tell us how to set up our crimping die. Our bullet seating, dead length bullet seating die is what it's called. Simply screw the die in until it touches the shell holder, and then do an additional quarter turn and finger tighten the lock ring. At depth is controlled by the adjusting screw. Rotate the screw clockwise to seat the bullet deeper, and counterclockwise for a longer overall length. That's all you gotta do. And it'll tell you the maximum is 2.260, but I'm crimping these to 2.195. So Now we're ready to crimp these down. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to show you. We want to take this, put it back in our shell holder. Alright. We're going to take our die. We're going to move this up. We're going to screw this down until it touches. And again, I'm going to have to adjust my lock ring because I had it set on my other press the last time. And we're going to screw that down until it touches. Alright, we're going to back that off, turn it a quarter of a turn, see that, tighten our lock ring. We're going to take and turn this back out, right, because we want to start, oh, darn it, I dropped that. We want to start along with it, and then we're going to measure it and do it. We're going to take and put that in. We're going to take and put that in. This one is just not wanting to hold on to the round at all. There. And now we started to seat it, and now we got to measure it, and I got to move the camera a little bit here to get to my measuring tool. Down here in the bottom drawer. Okay. What I have is just a caliper. This is a Pittsburgh one. My Radio Shack one that I used to have, I crushed the display on it and ruined it. So I got this Pittsburgh one now. But we want to do inches. That's millimeters. That's inches. We want to 0 it and then open her up. And take our bullet and measure that out. And that's 2.3130, right? So that's way too long. So we're gonna give her a turn. And that's still way too long. 2.2840. But you just want to work this up in small lengths because it's easy to put them in farther. It's hard to take them back out. 2.26. That should be about 2.24. Yep. Let's take and turn it. That'll probably be about 2.2. 2.3. Okay. I'll turn it. Now we're getting close. 2.2175. I'll turn it just a little bit more. Took that. 2.2105. That might have been a little too much. Let's see. 2.045. 2.985. 2.198. Okay. Well, we just gotta go just a hair more. .198. So, gotta go a hair more than a hair more. .9 2.1945. 195. Yeah, that's 195. 19455. That's fine. And now we're just going to crimp our other bullets. There we go. So now we're ready to run our factory crimp on these bullets. So I'm going to show you how we set that up. Again, you look at your directions that come with your dies. Screw the least factory crimp die in to touch the shell holder plus a half turn more. Adjust in for your heavier crimp. It's really best to start with too little of a crimp, and you can readjust the crimp to suit your needs. So we're going to take this one out. This is our bullet seat die. Now, on handgun rounds, these dies will also crimp. On these, it does not, on rifle rounds. So we're going to screw this in until it touches the shell holder. And we're just going to take that out a little bit. We're going to put this shell holder up. Put this all the way up. We're going to put this in so it touches. And we'll go ahead and adjust this on down some. Okay, and then we're going to do a half a turn more. And for a half turn, right about there, we're going to push this up tight. Then we're going to tighten this lock ring down. And we should be ready to do our crimp, and then we'll look at the crimp and see if that's good enough. And that's a pretty good crimp. I want it just a little bit more than that though. So I'm just going to take and adjust this in a little bit. And that's a perfect crimp right there. That might be just a little too much crimp. So let me knock that out just a little. Right there. That's perfect. 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 It's perfect. Yep. So now we have reloaded 223 5.56 rounds. You can clean these off, you know, rub them down, wipe them off with damp cloth, throw them back in the tumbler for a little bit, you know, to just polish them up if you want to. I never worry about that. Enough of the lube has worn off of the bullet by now that these are ready to go and shoot. And you know, like I said, I usually do 500 or 1,000 of these at a time, and take them out and shoot them up, have fun. But this is how you reload your own ammo and save a lot of money. You know, you save a lot of money over the cost of this stuff. You know, when 2230 is a good powder, it's a fast burning propellant. 2200 also works. I've used that. 2200 and 2230, the only rifle powders I use. I actually use 2230 to reload my British Enfield too. It works fine. So, but you know, you can pull up that load data off the internet and find out which kind of powder you want to use for your load. Choose something that they have in stock at a local place, preferably. Regularly have in stock, and you go buy some of it. You can buy the 1 pounders, which I like to buy, but you can also buy 4 and 8 pound jugs of this stuff too. I just like working with the 1 pounders, so I use the 1 pounders. The rifle rounds, you're going to use more powder. You know, they're using 20 some grains versus 4 or 5 grains that you use for a handgun. So you'll go through it a little faster. These will cost a little more to load, but they're definitely cheaper than buying them. So that's all there is to that. You know, get started reloading if you haven't reloaded. You can start with this press. You can start with a at least Breech Lock Challenger. It comes with the whole kit. You can buy a RCBS or a Lyman, you know, whatever. I suggest that you start with some kind of a single stage press. I only use a single stage press. I don't use any of the big fancy turret things because I like to, you know, just do it one step at a time. But you can get those fancier presses if you're loading a lot of ammo, but I would suggest that you start with this because you're always going to need a single stage press for just doing single operations on rounds, and then you can move up eventually. And I might move up one day, but right now I'm pretty happy with the single stage presses. But you know, you buy this press, a kit, and a couple of other things, and you are set and ready to reload some ammunition. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. Tom, your Frugal Prepper.